Hello everyone, my name's Andy Rafael from eTechnics.com, and today we've got something a little bit special. Obviously the new third generation Intel processors are on their way, and obviously this also means a new chipset, so Z77. There's not a lot that we can really mention in terms of performance or anything like that, because we are bound by NDA. But what we've actually had come through today from Gigabyte is the Z77M D3H. It's a new micro ATX motherboard that's going to be coming out on the market very, very soon. And all we can really do is give you a bit of an unboxing sort of preview, all about the aesthetics of the board. Obviously we would love to show you how this performs, not just with third generation Intel, but also with Sandy Bridge. But we're kind of restricted with what we can show you because obviously the NDA that we're bound to by Intel. So what we'd actually thought, what we will do is show you the box, show you the packaging, a little bit about the main features that Gigabyte have actually invested into it, not just Intel, and then actually give you a sort of tour around the board, that kind of thing. So straight away, if we look at the front of the box, we can see very, very simple. Now this board is aimed at the sort of mainstream budget kind of market. So it's the Gigabyte Z77M D3H. It's an ultra durable motherboard. Obviously Gigabyte brand their boards as being ultra durable. You get unlocked performance if you're using a Intel K-SKU CPU, so that's the i5 2500K, 26 and 2700K i7s, and possibly a third generation Intel that I can't comment on. Main features that you're really going to see from Gigabyte is 3D BIOS. This is their dual UEFI 3D BIOS, which if you haven't seen that already, it's looking good. I've always been a fan of these sort of GUI based or GUI based BIOS, and Gigabyte have done a really, really good job with what I've seen from it so far. You get ultra durable 4 classic. Now this is just an improvement over the other ultra durables that Gigabyte have put onto their boards in the past. So you get a few things like humidity protection, electrostatic protection, and a few other main features that's going to make this board last, especially if you're sort of pushing it to the extreme. Now you get support for Intel Core i7 processors. It's got the Intel Z77 chipset, and it's designed for PCI Gen 3, PCI Express Gen 3. And you also get new glass fabric PCB, which for the most part isn't really going to appeal to most of the people out there, but for some that's quite a handy little feature to have. Looking at the rest of the box, there's nothing really on the sides. There's a few bits of information on the back talking about the features and the benefits. And then moving around to this side, the only thing really worth noticing is this sort of sticker over here, barcode sticker with some of the main features on there. So other than that, if we just take a quick look at the back, this is where you're going to find most of the information on this board. So patent pending 3D BIOS. It's got Intel Smart Response technology, just like we saw on Z68. And this gives you up to 4 times faster than a hard drive only system, up to 60% performance improvement, and then you also get it's their own way of doing it, the Easy Smart Response Gigabyte technology. Other than that, in terms of the ultra durable Classic 4, these are some of the main things. So humidity protection for this country, not really that needed, but in other countries like Taiwan, where this board is made, you are going to find that humidities can be quite a big problem, and that's where this new glass fabric PCB comes into effect, where they've changed things a little bit to help with their markets, because it's not all about the UK and the US. There is very big markets in Taiwan and the APAC region. You also get electrostatic protection, power failure protection, and high temperature protection. So these are all part of their new ultra durable Classic 4 branding. You also get 333 onboard acceleration. That's your USB 3.0, your USB power 3 times, and your SATA 3.0. You've got HDMI, DVI, DirectX 11 support, loads of great features. So you've got the specifications down here. So it does mention that it will support 2nd and 3rd generation Intel Core processors, running on LGA 1155, Z77 chipset. It's got various different PCI Express lanes on there, HDMI, DVI. It's also got 2-channel DDR3 on there, which will accept up to 32 gigabytes of DDR3 up to 1600 megahertz, but you can obviously overclock that further, like we've seen from boards in the past. Now, this is a micro ATX board, but they have managed to pack quite a few good features into it. But first, starting off with the accessories, we can see we get 2 black SATA cables. One of them is right angled and the other one is just a normal SATA cable. Because it is a mainstream sort of budget board, don't expect anything too fancy, so you do just get a very bland I/O plate, but you know, it sits at the back of your case. Do you really need something that's fancy? In terms of connections, just from a first glance, we can see there's plenty of USB, DVI, HDMI, more USBs, obviously some of these being USB 3.0, VGA, PS2 mouse keyboard, gigabit LAN, and then your audio as well. So you also get a multilingual installation guidebook for people in France, Germany, you know, Spain, all over the place. Utility driver CD or DVD, and then obviously the GA Z77M D3H and H77M D3H user manual. So putting all that to one side and getting straight into the motherboard, you can see that it comes in a anti-static bag, which if we undo the sellotape, we get a first view of the GA Z77M D3H. So, like I was saying, it's a micro ATX board which is aimed at the sort of budget mainstream market, but it has got quite a few features, you know, packs a punch for what it is. So, because it is that mainstream sort of market, it hasn't got a black PCB, it's the simple sort of blue PCB with blue and white sort of accented features such as the memory slots, PCI Express slots and so forth. Now, the first thing that you actually notice is the CPU socket area. It looks very, very similar to Z68, P67, H67. There's a lot of room around the CPU socket area, so you can have larger coolers on there, such as the Noctuas, the Phanteks, and even some all-in-one water cooling loops like H80 from Corsair, and then the Antec cooler 620, 920. So lots of room around there. You'll notice that there's no sort of cooling around there or anything like that. The only cooling on the board is this small heatsink down here, which is covering over the Z77 chipset. Other than that, CPU support, all we can say at the moment because of NDA is that it will support Sandy Bridge and the new 3rd generation processors, but for obviously reasons we can't tell you the exact name, but I'm sure you can all guess. Now moving over, actually before we talk about the memory, I do want to tell you that over here you'd normally expect a couple of fan headers. They've actually moved these down here. So you've got a CPU fan header here and then a system fan header there. This just creates that little bit extra room there for ventilation, and obviously they're the guys who have made this board and they know what consumers are looking for, so hopefully this will be a move for the better. Now moving over to the memory, this does have 4 memory slots on there, supports DDR3 in dual channel mode, and this will accept up to 32 gig of memory. Now the memory support is 1333 and 1600, but as I say, you can overclock that further. Depending on your memory, you may even be able to get 2133 and beyond. But we won't know, and we won't be able to tell you until obviously the NDA lifts and we can get a full review out on this. Now moving just over a little bit, we can see that we've got a native USB 3.0 header. That's because obviously this board has got native USB 3.0. That's all we can really say. We're not going to say who the USB 3.0 is supported by, but there's the header for it, and there are some connectors on the back which we'll show you as well. There's another fan header down here as well for another system fan. But moving over to the storage options that you've got available, there are 4 SATA ports here which support SATA 2, so 3 gig per second, and then we've got these SATA ports just here which are angled slightly, and they are SATA 3, so 6 gig per second. There's 2 BIOSes on here, so it's got dual BIOS. You can see the 2 little BIOS chips down there. Front panel connector wise, and they do give you quite a lot. You've got all your front panel connectors, clear CMOS, USB, another USB and another USB. TPM connector for people who may want to use that, LPT, COM, SPDIF and front audio as well. So a nice array of different connectors there to sort of get you going. Now, for the most part, people are going to be excited about PCI Express and what's happening with that. This does support PCI Express 3.0, as it does sort of clearly state here. But in terms of connector wise, because it is a budget board, they've tried to really sort of develop this board with everyone in mind. So we've got a PCI Express X16 slot up here, which does run at X16 speeds. We've got one PCI Express X1 slot, and also a legacy PCI slot. Now I'm not a big fan on including legacy PCI, but I don't use it. Obviously some people may still use it, so it all depends on the user, and they have tried to cater this for a mass market. You have got another PCI Express X16 lane down here, but it will only run at X4 speeds. Now this isn't a massive problem. Obviously we've all seen the difference between X16 and X8, so moving down to X4, yeah, you are going to see a slight sort of dampening in performance in terms of the bandwidth given to the card, but generally you're not really going to notice too much of a difference, and if you can afford 2 graphics cards, then you know, it really sort of goes to show what sort of user you are, and are you really going to be buying a board like this, or are you going to wait to buy one of the Gigabyte G1 Sniper 3s or the Micro ATX version of that. But yeah, that's entirely up to you. But this does support ATI Crossfire X. I don't know why they're still branding it as ATI Crossfire X. They've even got a little logo here. AMD Crossfire X, in my opinion. But yeah, fully supportive of that. Now, power-wise, because it is a budget board, there isn't mass amounts of power needed. So up here we've got a single 4-pin ATX power connector, not an 8-pin, but purely, you know, this is a Micro ATX board, so why would you need 8 pins? And there's no sort of, you know, extra power delivery to the processor or anything like that. And the fact that the new 3rd generation processors have got something up their sleeve in terms of power, that's all we can really say on that matter. You have also got your ATX 24-pin over here, just as you'd expect, so nothing new there. Overall though, it's a nice layout on the board, nothing too out of the ordinary, but if we swing things around ever so slightly, we can show you the rear I/O. Now on the rear I/O, you've got a variety of different connectors. So we start with 2 USB 2.0 ports, and the black ports. We've also got a PS2 mouse keyboard combo port, VGA up here, DVI. We've also got a HDMI down here, because obviously you can utilise the iGPU, which is obviously the GPU side of the processor. USB 3.0 wise, there are 2 ports here, and you can tell because obviously they're blue. We've also got another 2 USB 2.0 ports down here, gigabit LAN, and then we've got 8-channel audio on here as well. So some really nice features there. And I mean, I've got to be honest, not really the board for me because you know, I am an extremist, I am an enthusiast, but I can't really comment too much because I haven't seen the performance of it yet. I may be proved wrong, and this may be you know, one of them hidden gems that Gigabyte have done in the past where they've tried to make a budget board but it manages to overclock through the roof. And this may be, you know, one of them boards, but for the moment this is only scratching the surface because this board is one of many that Gigabyte are going to be bringing out at launch. And this is the Z77M D3H. You've also got the Z77X D3H, the UD5H, I believe, the G1 Sniper 3, the G1 Sniper 3M or M3. There's, I think, about 10, maybe 11 boards that Gigabyte are actually going to be bringing out at launch. But we wanted to give you a first look at this board so you can see exactly, you know, what they've got to offer on the Z77M D3H. And we can't wait really to get this bench in, not just with the 3rd generation processors but also Sandy Bridge, so we can see how the new chipset has actually fared in comparison to some older boards. But for now, I think that's pretty much everything covered on this board. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Remember to, if you're watching this on eTechnics, go over to YouTube where you can comment, subscribe, like, and if you are on YouTube, do all the same. Comment, like, subscribe, tell us what you think about this board, or any of the new Z77 boards that you're looking forward to that support the new Intel 3rd generation, because I can't say the name, processors. For now, my name's Andy Rafael and I'm from eTechnics.com, and hopefully you enjoyed the video of the Gigabyte GA Z77M D3H Z77 motherboard.